At the wedding of the century that was broadcast live on the entire internet, Ji Yuzun escaped from the marriage in public, just to follow his adopted sister who was hurt by love and went to a foreign country. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, I walked up to one person and said, "You." Before he finished speaking, he pushed the ring between my fingers and said, "Yes." Later, my adopted sister became my biological sister, and Ji Yuzun returned to China in disappointment. Wanting to rehold our wedding, however, the Beijing Circle boss smiled and responded during the interview, "Yes, I was planning to kidnap the bride at that time. The night before the wedding, I accidentally saw the chat records between Ji Yuzun and his adopted sister. On the page, Ji Yuzun cautiously begged her, Wei, don't leave, okay? I only love you. Marrying Xu Xiongyu is just a business marriage. Do you hate Xu Xiongyu? I will run away from the marriage in public tomorrow, you know? Tomorrow's wedding will be broadcast live on the entire internet, and Xu Xiongyu will be completely humiliated tomorrow. Wei, you are the only one in my heart." He sent message after message, eager to express his loyalty to Ji Yushui. I almost laughed out loud as I read the words on the screen. When we were planning the wedding, Ji Yuzun said that our wedding would be live-streamed on the entire internet. At the time, both parents thought he was making a fuss and refused to agree to anything he said, but Ji Yuzun looked at me lovingly and said, "I want everyone to see my and Xiongyu's wedding of the century. I want everyone in the world to know that marrying Xiongyu is the greatest fortune of my life." Although I felt a little uncomfortable with Ji Yuzun's explicit confession at that time, I didn't think much of it. After all, even if it wasn't broadcast live, what happened at the wedding would be reported the next day. So I agreed immediately. Seeing that I had no objection, the two parents, although somewhat dissatisfied with Ji Yuzun's nonsense, did not say anything else. Now that I think about it, Ji Yuzun was already prepared to use me as a token of his loyalty to Ji Yusha. He knew very well how humiliating it would be for me if the groom ran away from the wedding in public. I lowered my eyes and looked at the latest message sent by Ji Yushui. "I'm already at the airport, leaving tonight. But Ji Yuzun has always done things without considering the consequences, and he will definitely run away from the marriage tomorrow. I really can't persuade you. You should make preparations early." I wanted to ask her why she came to remind me, but after sending the message, I found that Ji Yushui had blocked me. While I was stunned, there was a light knock on the door. It's Ji Yuzun. He held a bouquet of flowers in his arms and his eyes were full of eagerness. I turned off the screen and looked up at him. "Didn't you say we can't meet on the wedding night? What are you doing here? I missed you so much." Ji Yuzun blushed and whispered, "That's why I came to see you. Such superb acting." If the phone hadn't been still slightly hot in my palm, I would have almost forgotten that this man in front of me, with eyes full of love, had already planned to run away from the wedding in public during the live broadcast of tomorrow's wedding, and had already planned to make me a laughingstock. And this is just to show loyalty to another woman. My eyes fell on his face and I whispered, "Ji Yuzun, you still have a chance to regret it. We have 10,000 chances to cancel the wedding before tomorrow." He can pursue Ji Yushui openly. Ji Yuzun was stunned for a few seconds, then reached out to touch my hair. "What nonsense are you talking about? Marrying you is the luckiest thing that has ever happened to me. How could I regret it?" I avoided his touch and nodded slightly. "Well, you can go back." As if he was not used to my cold attitude, Ji Yuzun stuffed the flowers into my arms and was about to say something else. I was already preparing to close the door. Ji Yuzun was too lazy to respond to me anymore, so he just said a few words of concern and then turned and left. As soon as he went downstairs, I kicked away the flowers he gave me. After exiting the chat interface with Ji Yushui, I removed an account from the blacklist. "Will you come tomorrow?" The reply was almost immediate. "No." Just as I was about to reply, I saw his messages pop up one after another. "Who could be as cruel as you to let me witness you marry another man? The only reason I went to the wedding was to kidnap the bride. What do you mean by sending this message? Are you trying to see if I would kidnap you and ruin your wedding? Don't worry, my moral bottom line is not that low. I definitely won't go." After seeing his last message, I sighed and replied, "Okay." There was a string of ellipses in reply, and then no more messages. I threw my phone aside and pounded my pillow twice. Ji-Yoo-sun is determined to elope at the wedding to show his loyalty to Ji-Yoo Shuei. As long as he disagrees, I can't cancel the wedding even if I want to. Shun Shizhou was determined not to come to the wedding. We can only take one step at a time and see what happens. Ji-Yoo-sun was very cooperative in every process before the wedding. It was as if last night's chat record was just an illusion of mine, but just before the oath, he looked at me apologetically and said, "I'm sorry, I can't deceive my own heart. I can't live without Weiwei." Under my calm gaze, he slowly let go of my hand, turning to face the guests, as if looking at a live camera, he said, "I'm sorry, everyone, I can't marry someone I don't love. The wedding is cancelled." Amidst the noise, Ji-Yoo-sun left the banquet hall and boarded a plane to a foreign country. The guests in the audience looked at him with either pity or ridicule, and were all discussing Ji-Yoo-sun's ridiculous behavior. Netizens in the live broadcast room were also furious, condemning Ji-Yoo-sun's irresponsibility. What is he doing? If you don't want to get married, then don't get married. Why does he have to run away from the marriage in public? You had 10,000 chances to regret before marriage, but you had to embarrass Shu Seongyu at the wedding. I really don't understand. I am not a fan of Shu Seongyu, but I really feel sorry for her this time. If I were to hate Ji-Yoo-sun for the rest of my life, I would never forgive him. What did the beautiful sister do wrong? Why was she humiliated like this at her own wedding? I really want to vomit. Can this scumbag be hit by a car and die when he goes out? Someone wanted to take me off the stage to try to end this farce, but I pulled my hand away, looked around the banquet hall, and my eyes fell on a certain place. Shun Shizhou, he is here. Without thinking any more, I took a deep breath, lifted my skirt, and walked towards him. The moment I stood in front of him, I blurted out, "You." Before he finished speaking, he stood up and said, "Yes." As I said this, a ring was firmly pushed into my finger. It is far more dazzling and gorgeous than the rings I wear and Ji-Yoo-sun's. My parents hurried over from a distance and tried to cover up the matter with a joke. "Mr. Shun, Seongyu may not have reacted for a moment and was just joking with you. Don't take it personally." As they said this, they looked at me with a hint of reproach. "Seongyu, have you made enough noise? If you have, come home with us." I was just about to speak. Shun Shizhou grabbed my waist and leaned close to my ear and said, "I have already lowered my moral bottom line to the lowest level. If you regret it, I will die in front of you." I smiled slightly, held his hand in return, and led him to the stage. Fortunately, the ceremonial officer has a very high level of professionalism. After a brief shock, he quickly came to his senses and continued the unfinished process. He looked natural, and the guests in the audience also cooperated. They had no idea that a groom had just escaped. It was as if this wedding was supposed to be between Shun Shizhou and me. When I changed into my toast clothes, I took out my cell phone and took a look. I found that this wedding has indeed become a hot topic. My name, Shun Shizhou's, and Ji-Yoo-sun's names were at the top of the trending search list. There were constant criticisms of Ji-Yoo-sun's self-righteous behavior on the live feed. If he really loves her so much, why didn't he tell his family in advance and marry the woman he loves? Even if his family disagrees, he can always decide to remain a virgin for her, right? It's really hard to judge him for agreeing to marry someone else but then regretting it at the wedding. I don't know what the other girl thinks. If this was something the two of them had discussed, then I can only wish them to be locked up. Sisters, don't be angry. Shu Seongyu is so rude. She changed the groom right on the spot. Shun Shizhou is really much more handsome than Ji-Yoo-sun. This wedding was so natural that I forgot that Ji-Yoo-sun existed. Who knows, the way Shun Chenju hugged Shu Seongyu and whispered to her, it really made me feel good. I was browsing on my phone when Shun Shizhou walked in from outside. It was at this moment that I finally saw Shun Shizhou's attire clearly. It is completely in accordance with the standards of the groom. Thinking of this, I deliberately asked him, "Didn't you say you couldn't come last night?" Shun Shizhou adjusted his tie and said calmly, "I really don't want to come, but then I thought, I have to give you another chance to choose. If you don't choose me, I'll make you see clearly the difference between that guy named Ji-Yoo and me, and you suddenly asked me if I would come, which means you don't want this wedding to end successfully. All in all, he came here to cause trouble from the beginning. Unexpectedly, Ji-Yuzun ran away before they could even destroy the place. I shook the diamond ring on my finger at him and said with a smile, "What about this one?" Shun Shizhou's expression froze for a moment, and he adjusted his tie again, as if he was thinking about how to make an excuse. Seeing this, I added more fuel to the fire. "It seems that this one needs to be customized 3 months in advance." Shun Shizhou pursed his lips slightly, and after a long while he spoke in self-deprecation, "I've already prepared to kidnap the bride, is that not okay?" Although he spoke confidently, his nervousness was revealed by the constant adjustment of his tie. Shun Shizhou and I were actually in a relationship, but later on, we had a particularly fierce breakup, and it just so happened that my family was forcing me to marry Ji-Yuzun. I was so angry that I told him, "Let's break up, I want to go home and get married." As a result, Shun Shizhou disappeared the next day. He didn't come to me until a few days before the wedding. First he apologized. Then he explained the reason for his disappearance. He said that he originally wanted to coax me immediately, but after only a few minutes of speaking, he encountered a power struggle within the Shun family and was forced to be recalled. I had just finished explaining it when I turned around and saw Ji-Yuzun coming to me. He was so irritated that he became crazy and stubborn, and I got angry too, so I blocked him directly, the corners of my lips lifted up unconsciously. "Then why did you insist on not coming last night?" Shun Shizhou simply gave up on making excuses, and even said with a somewhat arrogant tone, "My mouth is harder than a duck that has been dead for 3 years. Don't you know that?" I couldn't hold it in any longer, so I turned my head and smiled secretly while touching up my makeup. Shun Shizhou was in the mirror, staring at me without blinking. After a long time, I finally couldn't help it. "Why do you keep looking at me?" Shun Shizhou pointed at his bow tie and said innocently, "It's a dead knot." I glared at him unhappily, but still walked over and reached out to help him untie his tie. He tied it too tightly, and my fingernails were not very convenient, so it took a lot of effort. By the time I finally untied it, my legs were already weak. I staggered for a moment, and Shun Chenju pulled me into his arms, and then kissed me on the lips in a lightning speed. The voice of the cameraman in charge of the live broadcast also sounded at the right time. "Then let's take a look at the bride and groom." When he looked up and saw the current state of Shun Shizhou and I, he paused and instantly stuttered, "Well, let's take a look at the layout of this hotel." I lowered my head but couldn't find any crack in the ground, so I simply buried my face in Shun Shizhou's arms. Shun Shizhou also cleared his throat and silently reached out to close the door. The netizens in the barrage were left protesting to the photographer. "Don't go, is there anything that we, the distinguished VIPs, cannot see? Brother, I beg you, please go and take a look secretly. You will be my only brother from now on. Stop taking pictures of this set. I can't hold a wedding here even if you take pictures for a long time. Come on, let's go watch something interesting." "That's right, hurry up and don't be afraid of being discovered. If you are discovered, just say it was all your own fault. If you don't go, I'll call a truckload of bread men to beat you up." Under the coercion and inducement of netizens, the photographer closed the live broadcast room as quickly as possible. The night after our wedding, Shun Shizhou and I started our honeymoon, not for anything else, just to avoid the blame from my parents and Gu's parents. Gu's parents were extremely unhappy with my action of replacing the groom on the spot. Mother Ji-Yu even brought up this matter when she was concerned about my travel progress. "Seongyu, I know that Ji-Yuzun is sorry for you about the wedding, but she seemed to find it a bit embarrassing, and it took her a long time to utter the second half of the sentence. But you can't do such a rude thing as changing the groom on the spot. It's being rumored that you and Shun Shizhou have been in contact for a long time. And Ji-Yuzun ran away from the marriage just to help you two be together." I just wanted to laugh when I heard it. Although I am traveling, I am not isolated from the outside world. The so-called outside rumors are the news released by the Ji-Yu family themselves, because they thought that if he ran away from the marriage and was replaced on the spot, it would affect Ji-Yuzun's reputation and his future love. So after weighing the pros and cons, they decided to throw dirty water on me and create an image of Ji-Yuzun as an affectionate person who loves to let go. The surrounding environment was so quiet that my laughter could clearly reach Mother Gu's ears. She wanted to get angry, but she held it back and lowered her voice. Xiao Yu, everyone makes mistakes when they are young. Ji Zun is one of them, and so are you. Let's get everything back on track before it's too late. I will persuade Ji Zun to come back. I was too lazy to say more and just sent him a screenshot of Ji Zun's Weibo homepage. After escaping from marriage, Ji Zun would update every day on his and Ji Shui's happy life abroad, but without exception, none of them showed Ji Shui's face. After sending all the screenshots, I said, "Auntie, I am now on the most correct path, so goodbye." After saying this, I hung up the phone without even waiting for Mother Gu's reply. Just then, Shen Shizhou came out after taking a shower. My eyes involuntarily glanced at his untied towel, feeling my gaze. Shen Shizhou raised the corner of his mouth and was about to speak, but when he glanced at the screen of my phone which was still on, his smile froze. I understood immediately and quickly explained, "This is for Ji Zun's mother to see." Shen Chenju had already sat down with his back to me, exuding a closed-off aura. "Oh, I don't really want to know. It would be strange if you believed his lies." Knowing Shen Die's awkward personality, I poked the muscle on his arm and said, "Really, his mother wanted me to reconcile with Ji Zun, so I sent the screenshot to tell him to stop bothering me." Shen Shizhou, "Oh, actually you don't need to explain it deliberately. I'm not such a petty person." Here, even though he is so closed off, he still insists on being stubborn. I wanted to tease him and made a move to stand up. "Well, since you are so generous, you must not mind me going to the beach to see handsome guys." I went first, I really went. Before I could even stand up completely, Shen Shizhou, who prided himself on being a completely harmless person, reached out and pulled me into his arms. He said angrily, "You knew I was being stubborn, but you didn't try to comfort me. Do you really want me to comfort myself?" I couldn't help laughing. "How do you comfort yourself? Let me see." Shen Yuzhou looked at me, his eyebrows slightly raised. "Are you sure?" I nodded. "What's so uncertain about this? The most interesting thing is the self-guided tour." "Okay." Shen Shizhou nodded and suddenly hugged me. "No, he didn't say that this is the way to coax her." The next morning, I was woken up by the constant ringing of message alerts. I dazedly opened my eyelids and took a look, then immediately jumped up from the bed. "Oh my god." Shen Shizhou came over to take a look and was also shocked. I quickly clicked on Weibo and found that it was indeed on the hot search list. #Jiu Zun Jiu Shui #. The hot search was a video of two people talking. In the video, Jiu Zun's emotions gradually became excited. "I have already run away from the marriage in public. Why don't you understand my feelings?" Jiusha stroked his short hair slightly irritably and said nothing. Although they couldn't speak the same language, the noisy sounds still attracted a lot of people's attention. Jiu Zun turned a blind eye and grabbed Jiu Shui's wrist. "I have given up everything. Wei Wei, I really love you." Jiu Shui was silent for a long time before she spoke with red eyes. "Brother and sister. We are brother and sister. Do you understand?" Jiu Zun became more and more excited. "You are just an adopted daughter. What does this matter?" The video ends here. The comments section has become completely agitated. "My brother is awesome. He made me see the melon from the other side of the ocean before I even had a glance. Mobile dad, what circle have you brought me into again? Oh my god, if it was 10 years ago, I would definitely think it was great, but now it's really hard to accept. Especially when I think about the fact that behind this sadomasochistic love there is a bride who was inexplicably thrown away at the wedding. It's hard to judge, since she already liked Ji Shui. Why did she agree to marry Xu Xiongyu? I feel something is wrong. If they are really foster siblings, why would Ji Shui react like this? I refreshed the page to see the latest comments. It turned out that all the trending search terms and videos disappeared without a trace. Many friends in the circle sent me messages to confirm the authenticity of the matter. The fan group also scolded Jiu Zun and expressed their sympathy for me. Shen Chenju was watching from the side and laughed. "Your fans really know how to curse." I gave him a sullen look. I picked up my phone again and saw people in the gossip group discussing how the Jiu family was very skilled in raising a daughter and how scheming they were. I frowned, and suddenly remembered the message Jiu Shui sent me that day. Judging from Jiu Shui's message, she doesn't want to have anything to do with Jiu Zun anymore. However, Ji Yuzun was willing to follow her directly to the other side of the ocean. I turned off my second account and looked through the chat history with Ji Shuwei, trying to organize my words and trying to say something for her. I had just finished typing and was about to send it when Ji Yuzun called me. I subconsciously looked at Shun Shizhou. Shun Shizhou reached out to help me answer the call and turned on the speakerphone. Ji Yuzun's hoarse voice came from the other end of the phone. "Seongyu, where are you? Is it convenient for you to see me?" Shun Shizhou's face darkened and he was about to mock Ji Yuzun. I signaled him to calm down and refused. "It may not be convenient. I am on my honeymoon with Shun Shizhou." Ji Yuzun was stunned, as if he hadn't heard what he said, and spoke in a hoarse voice. "My father had a sudden cerebral hemorrhage last night, and his condition is very bad now. If possible, I want you to go with me to see him." I continued to refuse. "No, at this time, it's best for your family to accompany him. It's not convenient for me, an outsider, to get involved." I refused again and again, but Ji Yuzun ignored me automatically. He was silent for a while, then suddenly sighed. "Seongyu, I was not sensible in the past and hurt you. Let's rehold the wedding and pretend nothing happened, okay?" I cursed him inwardly and hung up the phone. I nestled back into Shen Tingzhou's arms and continued to absorb information from various gossip groups. Shun Shizhou watched with me for a long time, and suddenly asked, "When are we going to go back?" I yawned and adjusted myself to a comfortable position. "I'm not going back." After the groom was replaced on the spot and refused to help Ji Yuzun clean up the mess, the Ji Yu family couldn't stand hearing my name anymore. "If I go back now, what if old man Ji Yu gets so mad at me that he dies?" Shun Shizhou gently pinched my fingers, his voice somewhat depressed. "But Mr. Ji Yu said he wants to remarry you." I glared at him angrily. "Bigamy is against the law. I'd only go back on my word if I were crazy. Especially the grass is rotten." Shun Shizhou couldn't help but smile. "Really? Then we have to go back." I raised my eyebrows, but before I could ask him, I saw Shun Shizhou had already thrown back the quilt, got out of bed and prepared to pack his luggage. I guess he's got nothing good to say. Sure enough, after I stared at him for 20 minutes, Shun Shizhou finally couldn't hold it anymore. He glanced at me cautiously. "I just want to go back and watch him make a fool of himself." Based on my understanding of him, I just laughed at the joke. He just wanted me to reject Ji Yuzun in person, and then take the opportunity to ridicule him harshly. But I didn't expose him, because I also want to see the excitement. Shun Shizhou and I bought tickets for the next flight back. We didn't even have time to take our luggage home before we headed straight to the hospital where Gu's father was. The other person was still asleep. Ji Yuzun was sitting dejectedly on the ground at the door, with his mother Ji Yu beside him, pointing inside and cursing. When we came out of the elevator, Gu's mother turned her anger on Ji Yuzun. "How could I raise a son like you who doesn't fight for anything? You don't want such a good wife like Shu Seongyu, but you choose to like a bastard. You even ran away from your marriage in public and went abroad. Do you think I'm embarrassing enough?" Shun Shizhou and I looked at each other, took a step back tacitly, and hid behind the wall. Ji Yuzun punched the wall beside him angrily. "Can you blame me for this? It was obviously my dad who messed up." Before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by the sound of Gu's mother crying loudly. "What sin have I committed? I was kept in the dark for more than 10 years, and the illegitimate daughter he brought back was pampered and loved till she grew up. And you are such a non-competitive person." As she said this, she reached out and hit Ji Yuzun. Ji Yuzun was so annoyed that his voice became louder. "I have already promised to remarry Shu Seongyu and completely forget about Wei Wei. What else do you want?" Mother Ji Yu seemed to find this ridiculous. "Before, I begged her for you because I thought you had lost your temper for a moment and there was still a chance to make amends, but now that the truth has been exposed, do you still have the nerve to beg her to rehold the wedding? You and your father are really of the same blood." She looked into the ward and couldn't help sneering. "But now it's like this, it's his retribution." Ji Yuzun was suddenly hurt by his own mother's words, which made him even more annoyed. He stood up and wanted to hide in the stairwell. Shun Shizhou and I were both shocked and looked at each other. "So, the reason why Mr. Ji Yu became like this was because he found out about Ji Yu Shuwei and Ji Yuzun. As the only person who knew Ji Yu Shuwei's true identity, He couldn't bear the stimulation, he almost couldn't breathe and fell down. As Mother Gu watched her son return home in a daze, she felt more and more that something was wrong. After a long investigation, we came to this conclusion. We were shocked as we listened to what Mama Gu said next, and gradually pieced together what happened next. After reaching the conclusion, Mother Gu told Jiu Zun directly. Jiu Zun naturally refused to believe it, and insisted that Jiu Shui tell him the truth. Jiu Shui saw that things had come to this point and he could no longer hide it, so he just told everything. And she found out about it just before Jiu Zun and I's wedding. After revealing everything, Jiu Shui immediately announced that he would cut off ties with the Jiu family and blocked all contact with them. It is said that he flew to another country at that time. Hearing Jiu Zun's footsteps, Shen Shizhou and I quickly pretended to have just come out of the elevator. Jiu Zun paused, then said in surprise, "Xiongyu, now that you are here, I knew you would agree." Shen Shizhou subconsciously blocked me behind him, then he turned his head and motioned for me to start looking at his joke. I chuckled and then poked my head out from behind him. "I just came to see my aunt. I don't mean anything else, don't think too much about it," Shen Shizhou added in time. "Don't indulge in delusions." Jiu Zun looked past him and looked at me pleadingly. "Xiongyu, it was really my fault that I didn't think things through enough and hurt your feelings. I will definitely compensate you this time. Please give me another chance." Shen Shizhou turned his head and translated for me. He doesn't want to be scolded by enthusiastic netizens anymore, and wants to gain some favor by reconciling with you. I was just about to tell him that my hearing was normal and I could hear what Jiu Zun was saying, then Shen Shizhou turned back and started typing. "Are our enthusiastic netizens stupid people? They can win your favor just by doing something casually. Why don't you go home and go to bed early? If you fall asleep you won't see everyone scolding you." I burst out laughing. Jiu Zun opened his mouth, wanting to fight back, but couldn't utter a word. Shen Shizhou leaned slightly to the side, pretending to listen to me carefully. The next second, he looked at Jiu Zun again. "Oh, my wife just said that she only has one husband, that is me, and she loves me very much. People like you have no chance." I was laughing when I was choked. "That's so embarrassing." "That's not what I said." Jiu Xuanzhang blushed. "We can rehold the wedding. She will agree." Shen Shizhou smiled. He finally had the chance to use his ultimate move. He took out 2 marriage certificates from his pocket and waved them in front of Jiu Zun. "But in addition to the wedding, we also have a marriage certificate." I covered my face silently. At that time, Jiu Zun and I decided to get married first and then get the marriage certificate. He ran away from his marriage, so naturally he didn't get a marriage certificate. After Shen Shizhou heard the news, he was so happy that he almost couldn't sleep all night. The next day, they took me to get the certificate as quickly as possible. When he was packing his luggage this time, he even took out his marriage certificate and put it in his pocket. I had a vague idea of what he was going to do at that time, but then I thought, Shen Shizhou wouldn't do something as stupid as showing off his marriage certificate for no reason. Result, not only did he do it, he also spent a long time laying the foundation. Seeing Jiu Zun's failure, Gu's mother couldn't bear it any longer. She pulled him back and forced a smile. "Xiaoyu, thank you for coming to see Auntie, but I don't have the heart to entertain you in this situation. You two should go back first." I nodded immediately and pulled Shen Shizhou back. After returning from the hospital, Jiu Zun had a rare 2 days of peace and quiet. But it was only 2 days. Starting from the 3rd day, he sent me messages using different numbers, apologizing to me and begging me to leave Shenzhenju. I blocked them one by one without any hesitation. Then, I don't know what stimulated Jiu Zun, but he started sending messages to Shen Shizhou. At first I threatened him to divorce me, otherwise I would make his life difficult. Later on, I simply begged Shen Shizhou in a text message, hoping that Shen Shizhou would give me to him. Shen Shizhou blocked him twice, which further irritated Jiu Zun. He started texting Shen Shizhou every day to tell him about the romantic moments we had together. Shen Shizhou was not annoyed. He immediately took a photo of our wedding and sent it to him, saying, "Is it romantic? I think it's just SOSO." Jiu Zun never replied. I watched Shen Shizhou's childish behavior from the side and couldn't help laughing at him. Why don't you just hang the marriage certificate around your neck? Shin Yujo carefully placed the wedding photo under the pillow and leaned over to rub against me. No, it makes me look stupid. I really had no energy to complain about him, so I just chuckled twice. Shin Shijo admired his own battle process, and suddenly frowned. You also gave him a shirt. I told the truth. At that time, I just wanted to deal with my two parents. It didn't mean anything special. Anyway, after I gave it to him, I never saw Ji-Yu-zun wearing it. The things Ji-Yu-zun gave me, I would only use them when I met the parents of both families. Shin Shijo curled his lips. Then I want one too. This damn desire to win. I pointed to the cloakroom outside and said, your clothes are almost overflowing. Do you still want more? Shin Shijo turned his head away, looking angrily. I want it. I calmed down and asked him, how about I give you a separate gift? Shin Shijo glanced at me and felt a little moved, but the next second, he turned his face away and said, no. Seeing that Shin Shijo was about to start to act awkward again, I simply lay down and pretended to sleep, forcing him to explain the reason. As expected, within a few seconds after I lay down, Shin Shijo started to accuse me. Look, you are so impatient with me. You don't love me at all. You gave him a gift, but you didn't give me one. He is more important than me. I apologized to you and you blocked me. Before he could finish his words, I quickly interrupted him. I blocked him too. And every number was blocked. It was much more serious than what happened to Shin Shijo at that time. As soon as he finished speaking, Shin Shijo became even angrier. I just said a few words to him. He did something so unfair to you, but you treated us the same way. Okay. So this is what Shin Shijo does when he gets unreasonable. I covered my face with the quilt, and after I had laughed enough, I sat up and kissed him several times on the face. Shin Shijo looked at me blankly. Before he could say anything, I asked, so, are you still angry? Shin Shijo curled his lips with a little bit of sly delight. Just try your best. I was just about to kiss him a few more times when Shin Shijo covered us with a blanket. Then I won't be angry anymore. I knew it. In order to avoid giving Shin Shijo any chance to trick me, I went straight to the mall as soon as I got up the next afternoon. I bought more than a dozen black shirts of different styles for Shin Shijo. I was afraid that this wouldn't be enough to stop him from talking, so I went and bought a bunch of couple-themed stuff. Just as I put all the bags into the car, I saw a few messages on my phone from unfamiliar numbers. I knew it was that lunatic Ji-Yu-zun again, so I didn't even click on them and just deleted them in bulk. As soon as I finished deleting the message, I saw a message from Ji-Yu-zun on WeChat. Seong-yu, Ji-Yu Shuei caused you to be humiliated at your wedding and made you lose face. You must hate her, right? How about I help you vent your anger? I will hold a wedding with her. But don't worry, the real bride is you. I just want to expose Ji-Yu Shuei's true identity at the wedding. I won't really marry her. And you hate me too, right? If I do this, both Ji-Yu Shuei and I will lose our reputation. Will you calm down, Seong-yu? I'll be waiting for you in the auditorium. I was so angry that I punched the steering wheel. It's really shameless. No matter how many times Ji-Yu Shuei advised him, he wouldn't listen. Now he is putting the blame of his running away from marriage on Ji-Yu Shuei. After thinking about it, I called Shin Shijo and asked him to meet me at the parking lot so that we could go to the auditorium together. I don't care what happens to Ji-Yu-zun's reputation, but no matter what, Ji-Yu Shuei once gave me a kind reminder, allowing me to deal with it in advance, so you won't be left at a wedding feeling helpless. So, I have to help her once. When Shin Shijo received my call, he didn't ask many questions and just met me as quickly as possible. Fearing that Ji-Yu-zun, a mentally ill man, might do something extreme, he even had people guarding near the auditorium. I looked at the messages that Ji-Yu-zun kept sending me and just wanted to tell him to stop messing around. Shin Shijo took the phone and began typing quickly. Okay, I'll forgive you. I am on my way now. Don't hurt Ji-Yu Shuei, or people will scold me. I just need to embarrass her. After sending this message, he returned the phone to me and asked me to continue speaking to Ji-Yu-zun in my normal tone. When Shin Shijo and I arrived, Ji-Yu Shuei was standing there motionless in her wedding dress. Ji-Yu-zun was lying on the ground, unable to move, with a mobile phone next to him that was live streaming. I quickly turned off the live broadcast and looked at Ji-Yu Shuei. Ji Shui seemed not to have noticed me and Shinshizho, and looked at Ji Zun on the ground with extremely disappointed eyes. After I knew my identity, I advised you many times, but you didn't listen and insisted on running away from the marriage. Now you realize that you can't afford the consequences of running away from the marriage, and you can't afford the consequences of being with me, so you want to sacrifice me in exchange for your happy and fulfilling life. I never thought that the self-defense skills you asked me to learn would be used on you. Ji Zun's eyes were dull, and he murmured, "No, I just think that as long as Seong Yuan forgives me, everything will be restored to the way it was before. If you lose face, she will definitely be happy." It was exactly the same thing he said to Ji Shui when he ran away from his marriage. But today, the people who hear these words have changed. I sneered. I don't have a relationship with her, but she was able to help me prepare when I was about to be dumped. You kept saying you wanted to marry me, but you dumped me in front of so many people, and even proposed a live broadcast to embarrass me. Ji Zun said no several times in a row. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. He struggled to come over and pull my skirt. Seongyu, please forgive me. As long as you forgive me, we can definitely go back to the way we were before. Before he could get close to me, Shinshizho kicked him far away. The next second, Ji Shui picked up his phone and dialed a number. "I want to call the police. Someone has kidnapped me." Shinshizho and I did not get involved in what happened afterwards. I only vaguely heard that when Gu's father heard that it was Ji Shui who called the police to arrest Ji Zun, he was so angry that he died. Mother Ji ran around everywhere and finally gained full control of the Ji family. In order to preserve the Ji family's reputation, he even chose not to pick up Ji Zun. Ji Shui immediately donated all the inheritance left by his father to his mother, and then applied to study abroad. Before leaving, she sent me a thank you message and told me that I could visit her anytime. I looked at this message and finally breathed a sigh of relief. I then clicked on the video of Shinshizho's interview today. In the video, the reporter asked him why he agreed to my proposal at the last minute and whether he had planned it for a long time. Shinshizho nodded, feeling rather proud. "Yes, I was planning to kidnap the bride, but someone gave up the position on their own accord." The reporters at the scene burst into laughter. I was just about to continue watching when I saw Shinshizho walk in wearing the black shirt I bought, his mouth almost grinning to his ears. "Wife, you have a good taste. It really suits me." My eyes widened with excitement. Sure enough, nothing is more attractive than Shinshizho in a black shirt, especially since he didn't button his shirt properly. You could vaguely see his abdominal muscles. Shinshizho continued, "You bought me more than 10 items. I am indeed the most important person in your heart. I knew you loved me." Hihi. I stared at him blankly, and finally understood the feeling of the overbearing president looking at his delicate wife and talking. But in the end he didn't hear a word she said, and his mind was filled with the thought of kissing him. Shinshizho was satisfied, so he came over and asked me, "Wife, you gave me such a good gift. I think I have to give you something in return. Do you want anything?" Without hesitation, I said, "Give me a kiss." Shinshizho was stunned for a moment. His ears reddened. "Why are you giving me a gift and rewarding me?" My eyes fell on his unbuttoned shirt and I swallowed. Shinshizho received my gaze and deliberately unbuttoned a button. "You come and unbutton it." I just stretched out my hand, and Shinshizho started kissing me intensively. "I'll wear it every day from now on."